Well, guys, that twist just took this from being a really great episode to a really just redundant episode. Hey guys, Kevin Ryan for the mid-season finale of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 10, Maveth. Now, this episode I was really looking forward to. Last week's episode was amazing. It was so great. They set up some really great stuff to happen in this episode. I really thought we were in for a really unpredictable episode. They were saying what was going to happen in this episode was going to be bigger than, was going to be as big as Captain America the Winter Soldier's twist. And, I'm disappointed, guys. I'm very disappointed because other than one big event, everything that happened this episode was extremely predictable and nothing really changes as of this episode. Really, one big thing happened and that's it. Other than that, nothing else really happened here. And I gotta tell you guys, I was very let down by this episode. I wanted it to be a lot more than it was. I really wanted more from it, but I didn't get that. I didn't get and especially since we have to wait till March, that's it? I have to wait till March for that. Whatever. I don't care that I have to wait till March. I don't. I mean, last year, I remember I loved last year's mid-season finale. It was such a great finale. Now, this has been the strongest season of the show. I'm not arguing that. I will agree. This has been the strongest season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This finale was very disappointing, though. I really didn't find it to be as interesting as I thought it was going to be. A lot of it was very redundant. And let me just get into this episode. There were quite a few great things about this episode, but then that was quickly ruined by the end of the episode. Well, let's just get into it. So, we start with Hydra's expedition team exploring the alien planet, and Ward asks Fitz if something is wrong. Fitz looks around, seemingly confused. They have 6 hours left to find the portal back to Earth, and Fitz tries to distract Ward with tech talk and reaches for Ward's gun. Ward takes him down easily, makes it clear that if Ward doesn't make it back, Gemma dies, and Fitz tries to convince Ward that they're on a wild goose chase, and that Malik sent Ward because Ward is expendable. Now, I would agree with that Malik really only sent Ward because, Ward is someone that if you lose, Malik is still the leader, because Malik sees himself as above him. So, over Ridge, they find the rules of Shrine with a giant Hydra insignia, and Ward says, "Hail Hydra." Now, what's interesting about all this is that Ward has to kind of put his differences aside with a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. and work with them. It's very interesting. So, Bobby and Lance dock at Safe for One. Malik wants to know what Coulson was thinking, and Lance says Coulson was feeling rather than thinking, and I would agree with that. Honestly, what Lance is saying, I completely agree with. I mean, everything Coulson did, he wasn't really thinking. He just did things unconsciously because of Rosalind's death. Rosalind's death has really just changed him. It's really changed him as a person physically. He's not just thinking, oh, we got to do, this thing that won't really hurt anyone. No, he wants to hurt Ward. He wants to hurt Ward because Ward obviously killed Roz, and because Ward killed Roz, he wants to go after Ward. So I completely agree with what Lance is saying, that yeah, Coulson really didn't think about what he was doing. He just kind of did it. He didn't care what it would do to him or what it could do to some of his team. He did it. He just did it because he felt it needed to be done, and I really would agree with what Lance said there. So, basically, Bobby explains that Coulson is trying to save their people and that they need to mount an assault. And Daisy sees trucks pull up to the Hydra Castle. It's carrying Inhumans, and Melinda realizes that Andrew is probably in one of those trucks. Now, this is my thing with this episode. Inhumans serve no purpose in this episode. I mean, it was a very overstuffed in this episode. It really felt like we didn't need the Inhuman stuff in here, which is quite disappointing because a few episodes ago, the Inhumans were the most interesting thing about this show, and now lately they're not as interesting. I do have to say that. Lately they're not as interesting. They're not focusing on them enough, and I definitely need them to focus on them a lot more in Season 3 because they introduced Secret Warriors in the last episode. It didn't happen here. And Max splits them up into teams with the goals of rescuing their people and the Inhumans, and Guerrero reports the arrival of the Inhumans to Malik, and Gemma tries to tell them that they're miscalculating how long the portal will remain open once the time is right. She says she's doing it for Fitz, but Malik says that Fitz is just an offering, and that death is the only thing returning through the portal. So, basically, they're going to kill Fitz, and I thought they were serious, because like I said, someone we knew was going to die on this episode. So Daisy finds aqueducts that can be used to infiltrate the Castay, and Mac gives them their missions. I like seeing Mac as a leader. He really does know what he's doing. He clearly is, he's definitely a guy that's like, the mission is first, I don't care about your emotion, I don't care what you're going through, you need to listen to my rules, and I honestly would love to see a Mac and Coulson team up at some point. I really like seeing Mac as the leader here. Very interesting stuff. One of the best parts of the episode by far. So Fitz mocks Ward and Hydra's plan to find the Inhuman, and Fitz inches away to one of Will's hatches and dives inside. He finds Will sleeping and wakes him up, and Will recognizes him, which I found weird that Will just recognized him. Obviously, because Gemma talked about him endlessly. And Ward drops down, and Fitz tells Ward that Will is their guide, and this is just seeming really easy, what's going on here. We'll get into what happens with Will, because I was severely disappointed what happens here. Coulson wakes up in bed next to Rosalind. She smells him and tells him that they overslept, and now he needs to get up. One of my favorite scenes in this episode by far. Everything that happens with Coulson's episode I thought was really powerful. And he wants to stay, but Rosalind tells him it's time and that they need him now more than ever. And you kind of see Rosalind as his conscience now, like the only person that's giving him the advice of what to do. You know, we need you need to do this, and you need to do this mission. It was very interesting. I like seeing how Coulson is just thinking about Roz constantly, because Roz really was one of the first great things in his life in a long time, and now that she's gone, it's very hard for him to get over it, obviously, because he really loved her, he really cared about her, and now she's gone, and he really doesn't know what to do with himself now that she's gone, and I really felt bad for Coulson this episode, I have to say. I really felt bad for him here. So, I really like the way they handled Coulson's stuff. Really powerful stuff from him in this episode. So, Ward wakes up on the alien planet. He drops his parachute, pulls out his gun, and begins exploring. And Ward prepares to execute Will, and Fitz desperately tries to convince Ward that only Will can help them. And Ward notices the Project Distant star patch on Will's sleeve and backs off. Will has a wound on his leg, and he says he got attacked when Gemma left. Fitz tells him that they're going to bring him home, and that obviously Gemma misses him, so is making sure that he comes back with Will. So Joey uses powers to melt a grate, granting the team access to the aqueducts. They split up. Joey has contributed nothing to this show, honestly. I get that he's a part of the team, but I didn't get that Secret Warriors feel. I didn't feel like, oh, Secret Warriors is happening, this is big. I didn't get that here. I just felt like, oh, Matt gave them missions. Alright, I didn't really get that feel. So Matt goes with Bobby and Lance, while Daisy, Joey, Lincoln, and Melinda look for Fitzsimmons. So, Daisy's team scopes out the area, they spot Kiera, and Melinda suggests that things would be easier if the lights were out and Lincoln takes action. So lights go out in the castle, and Gemma makes her escape. Fitz fills Will on what Ward is up to and who he works for. He also tells him that he knows how to get the creature back. And Fitz says they need to find a way to lose Ward's team before they find the portal. Which I thought was very smart, obviously. You know, get away from Hydra, so that way they can find the portal before them, because obviously this is all about the portal. So Will tells the team to head through the canyon, saying it's the only way they make it in time, and basically that's what happens there. So Gemma finds herself in the place where Hydra is storing the Inhumans. She finds one with Andrew inside, and he begs for help. She fills him in on what's going on, but is reluctant to let him out. He offers her protection from Hydra. When a Hydra team of soldiers arrives, she opens the containment unit's door, and Andrew transforms in a lash and takes out the Hydra soldiers, which was crazy to see that happen. My thing with this is it really didn't contribute anything to our main storyline going on with Coulson, Fitz, Ward, and all of Hydra and Will. It didn't really contribute to that, and it just felt like something else that was going on. It didn't really seem like it meant much, really, and I really want to see more of this. I don't really feel like they're focusing on the Inhumans as much as they should, because let's face it, in my opinion, one of the things that's making the show so strong, one of the things that's made it so good, is the Inhumans, and they're really, I don't think, focusing on them enough. I mean, Hydra, yes, I get that they're a part of this whole Inhuman situation, I understand that, but I really didn't feel like they focused on everything they should have. So, Coulson continues to travel the alien planet. He finds Fitz's crow on the ground. And Ward asks about the shrine he saw earlier. Will says that he used to live there. And Ward tells Will about the Inhumans on Earth. A sandstorm kicks up. Will tells Fitz that they're entering the no-fly zone. And basically, Mac begins hatching a plan. And Bobby immediately heads into a fight with Hydra, and Lance and Mac follow. It's a really crazy scene. And Ward's team hunkers down to wait out the storm. Will knocks one of the soldiers out, steals a knife, Fitz distracts her, Will takes him out, and Will and Fitz take off. And Daisy busts into the Hydra command center. Guerra finds her there. He levitates a gun and shoots at Daisy. Joey jumps in front of the bullets and melts them before they hit him, and Lincoln takes Guerra out, but Daisy rushes them out before, and Lincoln can finish him out, which I thought was a very great scene. I love seeing Daisy, you know, basically being like the captain of her team. It was great to see. I really loved it, and Secret Warriors, they're really handling it well, I have to say, but again, it didn't really feel like it belonged in this episode, you know what I mean? Like, you had this whole thing going on with Coulson. I didn't really feel like we need to see all the Secret Warrior stuff in this episode. I get that they wanted it, but, they should have focused it on a bit more these past few episodes, then we could have had that. Then it would have been a bit more satisfying, I think. So Gemma finds May and Melinda, and Gemma tells Melinda about Andrew, but Melinda says rescuing him is not the mission. She radios to Daisy, and what she says to Gemma is very interesting. She says that Andrew and Lash are the same person. She doesn't see a difference between them. She thinks that they're the same, and I think it's very interesting that she said that there. We'll get into that, but basically, Ward returns, find his dead team members. 2 gunshots take out the remaining 2 soldiers, and Ward takes a shot, and Coulson appears, and this is when things get really interesting. Ward warns that Coulson will never find Fitz without him. Coulson tells him to get up and lead the way. And this is part of the reason why I really wasn't into the episode as much, because it didn't really feel like the stakes were as high as they made it seem they were. This is when things were getting great. Before it was kind of like, this is an okay episode. But this is when I'm like, okay, this is getting really interesting. Ward's confronting Coulson. We don't know what's going to happen here. The team reunites in the portal room. They prepare to defend their position from Hydra, with Joey reinforcing the doors with his powers. They find the timer counting down to the moment the portal opens, and Gemma fills them in on the situation when Mac realizes that Melinda's gone. Gemma realizes she must have gone to find Andrew to basically talk to him, reason with him, and Melinda surveys the damage from the fight between Lash and Hydra. Several of the other Inhumans were killed by Lash. Alright, we could have seen that. I mean, seriously, you're not going to show that to me? This is supposed to be a mid-season finale, and we didn't see that. I mean, that's when you know this episode really isn't working out, and I was disappointed that we didn't get to see that. I mean, you killed some Inhumans, alright, I want to see it. I mean, I know that's sad, but this is a mid-season finale. Come on, we're waiting till March here. Like, I want to see that, and Ward and Coulson continue their march, and Ward tries to tell Coulson about how Hydra today has given him a sense of purpose, and I thought it was really interesting what he says, that, he now feels like he's a part of something, and Coulson shoots him in the arm, tells him to keep walking. Ward keeps talking about how he's part of a grand plan, but Coulson isn't following. He doesn't understand what he's saying. He doesn't trust Ward at all, and anything that Ward says to Coulson, he doesn't believe, and I can totally understand that, because after you kill Roz, after Ward kills your lover, how can you believe him? How can you believe a word he says? And Coulson's being very smart here, not believing anything that Ward is telling him, even if it's true. So Gemma explains the purpose of Hydra and the Inhumans, and Bobby wonders if the old S.H.I.E.L.D. knew about this, considering how they were trying to keep the monolith hidden from Hydra on the eyelid. And Gemma tells them about the wasteland that the alien planet is, and how she and Will both believe the desolation was caused by the Inhuman. So Melinda arrives and tells them about the Inhumans killed by Lash, and Malik finds the damage done by Lash despite the warnings of his men, and Malik orders them to storm and retake the portal chamber. Coulson pulls out his scope and spots Fitz and Will walking ahead of them. Ward shows Coulson the timer on his watch, and Coulson then tells him to pick up the pace, and Hydra begins to siege the portal room. They debate whether they should risk the Inhumans coming through the portal or not, and Mac orders everyone to leave and bomb the castle if Hydra gets through. They argue, but Mac orders them out, and he agrees to let Daisy stay. They don't know if this is the right thing to do, but Mac's in charge, so they kind of have to listen to him because he's the one that knows what he's doing. So he agrees to let Daisy stay, and I like that he allowed her to stay, and Will and Fitz then make their way toward the portal spot. The ruins of an ancient civilization come into view. Will says that Gemma never saw it, and that they're still in the no-fly zone, and Fitz asks for more info, and Ward tells him that there were 9 cities once advanced, but scared of change and were easily divided. They warred among themselves and killed each other. He mused on how they could have been something great. Fitz wonders how he knows so much about it, and undresses Will's leg bandage to reveal Bone. Will reveals himself to be the Inhuman, and tells Fitz that Will died saving Gemma. They begin fighting. Wow. Wow. That's what you do with this. I was very disappointed here, because Will's this character they've built up all these episodes. We had an episode, for God's sake, with Gemma and Will in it, and it really felt like it was going to mean something, and then you reveal he's just some Inhuman, and that's not actually Will. That's really fucking stupid. Honestly, really stupid. They could have done anything else with this, and I was very, very disappointed here. I'm like, really? That's what you do? You have all this build up to him becoming an Inhuman, and then he's not even, turns out to be, he turned out to just be an Inhuman. That's really what's going on here. Now, it would have been a lot more effective if it would have been a different character. If it wouldn't have been Will, I would have liked it a lot more. Definitely, I think it would have been a lot more effective if it would have been Will, and I would have if it wouldn't have been Will. Definitely, they could have handled this better. But it's just you build this whole character. What they should have done is at the end of the episode have us realize this isn't Will that Fitz brought back, and then go through the whole thing of Gemma realizing this is not Will, and then realizing that Fitz brought someone else back by mistake. That could have been a lot more interesting, but that's not what's going on here. And yeah, I was definitely very disappointed with that. So yeah, I was definitely disappointed with that. I would have wanted to see more with that. And so Shield returns to Cypher 1, and Melinda orders the weapon system to be made ready. Bobby says Hydra's under the castle will make it into the portal chamber. And Coulson and Ward come over a ridge, just the Inhuman's about to kill Fitz with a rock. Coulson shoots the Inhuman, and Ward attacks Coulson. And then this is when things get crazy. The portal begins opening into the castle. The Inhumans morph toward the opening portal, and Fitz shoots him down. And I'm like, okay, this is when something's big is going to happen. Melinda orders the weapon systems to go hot. Coulson overpowers Will, knocking him down with a slap of his robotic hand. Fitz uses the flare gun to set the Inhumans on fire. Will's body burns. Daisy tries to keep the portal open, but eventually passes out, and Fitz calls for Coulson, and it's not strong enough. It's not even for Daisy. It's not strong enough. And basically, Fitz calls for Coulson, telling him the portal's closing and that they need to go. So Coulson then kneels down, and he doesn't know what to do with Ward. I mean, he doesn't know, should I just leave him here? Should I just leave him to die? I mean, I would have just left him to die. That's what I would have done. But now the Inhuman's gone. They just killed Will, so he's gone. And what I would have done is I would have basically just, I don't know really what would happen, but he basically thinks about all the things, like him killing Roz, and basically realizes, you know what, I'm going to do it now. He uses robot action to put pressure on Ward's chest, crushes his heart, and he dies. So yeah, they killed off Ward, and I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, that is awesome that they did that. And I was so happy that they actually killed off a main character like Ward. I mean, that is fantastic that they did that there. So Coulson leaves a hand behind, walks toward the portal. It really felt like a satisfying triumph for Coulson here. And a creature crawls out of Will's ear, and Mac gives the order, and Melinda begins bombing the castle. A containment unit fires into the sky. Mac tells him to open the door. Daisy and Mac walk out of the unit. Fitz and Coulson follow. Gemma looks inside the unit and finds it empty. Melinda hugs Coulson. Simmons turns to Fitz, and Gemma turns to Fitz with tears in her eyes. She runs to his embrace. Fitz and Coulson stare each other down, and really nothing happened here. I was a bit disappointed by this because really nothing changes in terms of dynamics between this team. I mean, last season, so much changed. Skye found out her name was actually Daisy. I mean, they realized that Hydra was a much bigger threat than they thought they were. We learned that something was going on with Reyna, and that Hydra was in cahoots with Reyna. It was a very interesting reveal. It just seemed like the stakes really were not that high here. You know, they got the portal. They got through the portal. Will's not, Will's, now we know, is an Inhuman, basically. Will we know is an Inhuman, and now he's dead, so that's done and over with. And then supposedly Ward's dead. Then we get to the end of this episode, which was so annoying, honestly. This is the perfect example of how not to bring back a character. Malik is being driven toward the airport. Ward stands in the roof with Coulson's hand. The creature can be seen crawling under his skin, and Ward's back, but he's now a creature. He's an Inhuman, and that's how the episode ends. See you guys until March, really. See you guys till March. I was very disappointed by this, honestly. We've been building up to this really great conflict between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, and this is what we got to. I was very disappointed. I really felt like nothing really happened in this episode. And the most interesting stuff, like the Inhumans, we're not really seeing. We're not seeing the Inhumans getting we're not seeing the Inhumans being attacked by Lash. We're not seeing any of that. And I want to see that. We're not seeing it. It's like they don't want to show how big of a threat they are. It's really annoying. People have been saying that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. plays it safe, and I haven't believed it. But after this episode, yeah, I do believe it. I mean, they had the ability to kill off a major character like Ward, and then they just brought him back, literally just brought him back for no reason other than that, they really like Brett Dalton as an actor. Yes, he's a very good actor, but can you just kill him off? Like, seriously? This is the perfect example of how not to bring back a character. The Leftovers, I'm going to compare it to that because that's a perfect example of how to bring back a character. That's how you bring back a dead character. This is how you don't bring back a dead character. This is stupid, this is ridiculous, and it's really pointless. I'm going to tell you this is really going to amount to nothing. It's not going to be anything. It's not going to mean anything, and it's really going to be stupid. I am not at all happy about this plot twist. I'm very upset they did this. And I was just very disappointed. I hope that when the show comes back, it's a lot better because this episode was very disappointing. I want a lot more from this episode. I've really enjoyed the season overall, guys. I really have. I have not disliked this season by any means, but this episode was just very disappointing. I wanted a lot more from it. I didn't really feel like I got the necessary build-up I need. I didn't really feel like there was a lot of closure in this episode. Last week's episode felt a lot more like a mid-season finale, and this episode's really didn't. I was very disappointed, but let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Sorry if you guys really liked this episode. I can understand if you did. I'm happy that they did kill off Ward, but then they should have just stuck with it. Stick with killing off Ward. That stupid twist with Will was absolutely pointless. By the way, Gemma has no idea about this. She has no idea what's going on there. So she's like, why isn't Gemma saying, where the fuck is Will? Why isn't she saying that? I don't understand, but whatever. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Like I said, I was disappointed by it, especially because we have to wait till March, and I don't really care. I don't care that we have to wait till March. There isn't really that much to deal with, except Lash, and now this new Inhuman that Ward's becoming, which I think is really pointless, really stupid, and really made no sense whatsoever. But let me know what you guys saw of this episode. What do you guys think of this season in general? And I will see you guys next year, which will be for the season finale of Scream Queens, which I heard was a lot better than this. Honestly, I wish I would have watched Scream Queens over this, because this was very disappointing. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the season finale of Scream Queens, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.